Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you didn't know, I'm a diagnosed narcissist, but before I say the things I'm going to say in this video, keep in mind that I am not a licensed professional, so with that out of the way. So, being a narcissist, being somebody, that is cluster B, you might, know something, a thing or two about splitting, which is also something that's also associated with, let's say, borderlines and blah blah blah. And the reason why splitting tends to happen is because of something something you might know as object constancy. Basically, people that are cluster B, so you can think borderlines and narcissists such as myself, we struggle with object constancy. And throughout my life, I've always had struggles with my self identity, not really knowing who I am. And essentially, the reason why the narcissism even came out in the first place is to compensate for not even necessarily insecurity. Although, if you've seen a lot of my videos, and I still think it's true, a lot of times narcissism is obviously there to cover up, you know, feelings of insecurity. But in all honesty, something when it comes to insecurity is not even necessarily feelings of inferiority. I know typically when people think of insecurity, they think of like inferiority. And don't get me wrong, I feel loads of that. I feel heaps of that as a pathological narcissist. Deep inside, as a narcissist, I am very, very much, I guess, hating myself, loathing myself and everything. I kind of just hate the world. I kind of just hate existence. I've low key had a beef with existence as far as I can remember. I think, as far as I can remember, the moment that I realized I am me, realized that I am me, quote unquote, whatever that means, it's just empty, it's blank, and it's hollow, and I don't really feel much. And this got me thinking, I think a lot of this explains why I'm a nihilist, or why I would describe myself as like, pretty nihilistic, to be honest. And this was a philosophy that I've always been on board with because it's always been clear as day to me that the universe is shallow, the world is shallow, people are shallow, we're all gonna die, and everything is just a shallow transaction of meaninglessness, basically. And I don't know. I never really saw the importance in anything. I don't actually know what I truly value, to be honest. Even though I say I might value myself, or I'm like, the best thing ever, I'm honest about it. It's a compensation. That's why narcissistic personality is a disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and whatnot. So as I've lived my life, I've seen people, I guess, like have meaning or something that they take a lot of like, I don't know, I guess attachment towards, and I've always thought to myself, I don't fall for this. That's why I think I, can't, rock with religion. It's just illogical. It's just a clear cope. Just like everything is a clear cope, as clear as day, ever since I've witnessed it. I don't see the difference between somebody trying to, achieve a successful career versus an alcoholic that just gets drunk every single night. It's all just there to fill this basically blank, empty void of existence. And the revelation, and I think, and I'm making this video because I think like I can put it into like better words, is because object constancy not only makes me struggle with my relationships with other people. A good chunk of our lives are the relationships we have with other people, like our partners that we might have had, the friends we might have stumbled across, or potential friends that we might make in the future, or like whatever. Everything is about relationships. Well, I mean, no shit, because we're a social species, right? But this is where I've always thought this is where we're gaslighting ourselves. We gaslight ourselves through people, we gaslight ourselves through, I don't know, sports, video games, just anything there to just distract because oh, just sitting here doing nothing is pretty boring, right? But that's the thing that I never understood about people when whenever they would find it off-putting. Let's say when I would say that, oh, life is meaningless and nothing really matters, and the more I see it, I just thought to myself, they're so desperate and they're coping and they don't even realize it. I it's opened my eyes, honestly. Although I am admitting that this is perhaps also just like my bias because like I acknowledge that struggles with object constancy kind of makes it difficult for me to see, I guess, like the importance and stuff because kind of like what I said, it all just comes and goes. It's a shallow impression. And this is why I think life is so stupid. And this is why I think that everybody's just, I'll keep saying it, like gaslighting themselves. I'm trying to gaslight myself, but I just can't do it. That's why I've always identified with nihilism. That's why I've always identified with like nothingness, basically, because no matter how much I try to drill any sort of sentiment that might go along the lines of, oh, you should cherish what you have now because someday, you'll never get it back. Like it'll be lost or something like that. And I've always thought to myself, we were already lost to begin with. And that's what I'm saying. That's the cope. That's the um like being desperate for breadcrumbs while the rich are eating and you're down there basically yes trying to get anything that just falls off the table, desperate. That is the lives of majority of human beings. And when I think of rich people, they're probably not even that happy either because you know what's the biggest irony? Rich people still going to like fucking casinos. They already have everything. Why are they still trying to get more money? But I guess that opens your eyes that basically, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Nothing actually buys happiness, and it's all just dumb, and it's all just stupid. And and I guess this is also why it confirms to me that like I'm a determinist basically is because like I can't take my life seriously yet oh here I still am, but even if I were to kill myself it wouldn't really be my choice, right? Because nobody asks for a mental illness, right? Nobody asks for anything. Nobody chose to be neurodivergent, let's say. So I guess technically in that same breath nobody actually chose to be neurotypical either. So when I just see this existence, it's like everything is just so dumb and superficial and shallow, and it doesn't even mean anything. And I don't have to say that in like a positive or like negative way. It's just like it's nothing. You can't actually describe nothing which this world is consisted upon in a very like broken sort of way. And I hate well, actually, what I'm about to say is something that I've realized in terms of like personality differences, which I kind of thought was interesting because I am an INTP. So my sister type would be the ENTP. And I've noticed that a lot of ENTPs will see truth in contextualism, basically. Like they'll see truth in context. But more so for me as an INTP, I can't see truth in context. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of perspective as well. And I am biased towards everything that I'm saying just as much as everybody else that, I'm criticizing. Which, yeah, I know I am. But fuck it, this is my channel. I get to explain every little bit of like my thought process. You clicked for it, so it's here. And basically, I can't make sense of broken pieces. So I don't know how to enjoy the little things. That's what people are always saying, right? Oh, enjoy the little things. But I'm just like, okay, it's so little, I can't even fucking stand on it. It's so little that I don't even know where I'm at. And I've realized that the world is basically just a series of questions that'll never actually have like answers to any sort of like fulfillment whatsoever. Because people always say that you live and you learn, right? So even if I were to hypothetically, I don't know, be granted immortality and I could just like basically exist forever, I'll always just be living and learning, right? And I'll never actually receive some sort of like true satisfaction. So I guess in a way, that's why Buddhism makes sense to me out of like any other religion. I mean, they did say that life is suffering, right? And our attachments to things are what make us, miserable in the first place. So consciousness, at least from a very like Buddhist perspective, is so fucking stupid Well, I mean, I've always thought consciousness was basically so stupid because like it exists in like broken puzzle pieces. And this is what's annoying about being a person is because we're all essentially the same species, right? I mean, Jung talks about like synchronicity and whatnot. I'm very much into typology, as you would obviously know if I mentioned being like an INTP across this channel and whatnot. But it's like we're basically existing on different ends of the same spectrum. And that's where you get collective unconsciousness. So basically, all this anger, bitter, and resentment that happens in the world 24/7 because everybody has different agendas when it comes to religion, lack of religion, political views, economic policy, politics, whatever, all that kind of stuff. It's just like everyone's just a hypocrite attacking each other. Just a bunch of hypocrites attacking each other because basically, I don't know, if we existed within like the same like reign, then I mean, I guess it would just be self-confirmation bias because nobody would basically be fighting if like we were all on the same page of like something. But it's like, where do you get the knowledge that your values, that you're this and that? Like, if there weren't even other people contradicting you, that's why I think like as much as humans pretend that they want peace, or as much, or even in the same breath, just as much as we pretend that we also kind of want chaos, let's say, we don't know what we want because it's like existing has always been this illusion that we get to roll the dice and play our cards, right? Or, select from the deck in which we were given, but it's already a determined universe anyway, so shit is still going to happen just for the fuck of it. And you're here in your dumb consciousness, delayed thinking that there's something more to it than not. So I think like there's so much thoughts and then it kind of just like breaks the moment I guess you actually do something like into the world. But in a way, we're not like animals. We can think about things. We can abstract things, right? And like that's pretty much like our downfall in a way. That's why we're the only ones that can have like an existential crisis basically is because I don't know, we keep insisting that there has to be something more than there is and there isn't. And that's why people need God, because people need to think that there is something ultimate, but there isn't. That's why you continuously need to pray. That's why you continuously need to make more money. That's why you continuously need to, I don't know, do whatever, get the approval of your boyfriend, girlfriend, society, whatever. I'm just like, it just keeps going and going and going. And there's just like, and, and people are actually so delusional that they think this is something that they're actually partly, are committed, but they're basically just a slave to everything. Society, their biology, their language. I should make my video on linguistic determinism. I kind of went on like in like a whole bunch of like I don't know like random stuff, which I guess I do in like pretty much every single one of my videos. But I guess yeah, this video, okay, like if I'm trying to like just clear this up a little bit, was not necessarily about like because like, okay, like I wanted it to be different, even from the whole like, oh, I struggle with object constancy because I can come across bipolar. That's why I can see why narcissism and bipolar disorder kind of get confused for one another. But that's actually dumb misconception. I mean, I get it, but it's still a dumb misconception nonetheless because they're different like disorders and whatnot. I made my own separate video about that, so you can find it. I think it's literally called narcissistic personality disorder versus bipolar disorder. I don't like it. Just search my channel, those keywords, and then like yeah, you'll get it. But I guess like basically this video is about like why as a cluster B person, like what is it like being unfulfilled basically, or what is it like? I mean, I know people are gonna say that I'm the one distorted, but I'm just like, what is it like to not be able to gaslight yourself? Well, this is sort of a display of that here. That's what kind of goes like along my mind when I think of like how shallow that like this all is. So it's like, yeah, I very much think that life is very much meaningless, and I think that comes from like my lack of like object constancy. And if you ask me like why do I exist, why do I continue? Okay, like the simple answer I think is just the determinism. I mean, yeah, because like if I were to kill myself, that would also have just been mental illness taking over my body. But if I wasn't, then whatever else it was that made my body react in a way where I didn't kill myself, whatever. Like it's just the gears turning. Like life is not special. You're no different than a machine, and I don't care if that makes you feel uncomfortable to hear. I mean, I'm willing to face it. No different, basically, than a fucking machine. Life is not special. So that's why it's like, um, yeah, I just don't see attachments to something. And I know as a human being, we must insist upon that. So I think like I'm probably attached to my projections, kind of like what I do with like my own identity. Like I tell myself I'm the best. I tell myself that I'm better than everybody, whatever, all this kind of stuff. But it's like I can be honest about that. I'm attached to my projections. I'm not pretending like I'm actually attached to something like a whole bunch of like other people. So, but I know how this looks from like I guess like somebody that just like wouldn't get it. So if the question were simply what is it like to be a narcissist, a cluster B person, and be discontent and just be, I don't know, removed, I suppose, then yeah, I think I gave like more than enough words for you to chew on.